Aloha Kohala. It is 3 o'clock. You can't hear me? Okay, well, maybe I don't have your...
Oh.
Let's see.
There you
How's
are.
that?
Yeah,
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. You're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is Intuitive Talk Story. Today, what's the date, Michal? Do you know?
Gosh,
Let's
yesterday
see.
was
The
Commanders
12th.
12th. That's
Okay.
the 12th.
It's June 12th. I'm like, what month is it? This is EILA Allgood and...
Michal, Anna.
And we're going to be with you for the next hour talking story. I've been away for a couple weeks, and I wanted to start off with gratitude today.
Always love gratitude.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with gratitude, first of all, to thank you, Michal. I went to see my daughter, Kristen, and you met on the phone with her when she was going through a horrible domestic violence nightmare. And you were there and offered to help her, and you did. And I just spent 2 weeks there. She got married, third time. Seems good, feels good. She is so different. I said to her after about a few days, I'm like, I feel like the name Kristen, it's not enough for you anymore. I feel like you're the new Kristen or something else, but that's how much she shifted.
Wow.
And I'm all goosebumpy. And because, and anyone out there who's listening, anybody can change. I saw this person who was kind of really depressed on antidepressants. The bad situation, many of us have been through that. But she turned it around, and it's been a lot of work. It's been therapy. It's been talking. It's been friends. It's been support. But it's all up to that person, right? She had to make those choices. She was a kind of dyed-in-the-wool carnivore who's now a vegan, and she feels so much better, of course. And I think it's important that people realize it is work, and it's so wonderful to see someone you love actually be able to do it, because you never know. We don't know if someone's going to be able to get there, you know. You just send them love, you support them, and you let go. And I also saw her dad at this shindig we were at, and I had this really strong sense, and we talk about ancestors and descendants. I felt like she was, oh God, my whole body's on chills now. I felt like her work was helping him. He hasn't really been able to do it himself. And it's about helping our ancestors. And it's just so amazing. So all this stuff that we talk about, you and I, all the time, all the, the difficult moments we have individually, and we see each other through these things, it's ours and it's everybody's, you know? Yeah. And so that's what's alive in me today.
It's really beautiful, really rich. I was so honored to be of service to your daughter and do session
so
work with her.
And so many others.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see the shifts like you're seeing. And I do get to see so many shifts, and it's really gratifying for me to see all the magic take place and people having profound experiences and really using the tools and doing the work and committing to growth and committing to ourselves. I live everything I share with you all. Right. I'm living it. I'm doing it, and I'm dying all the time. I just killed the dream and died hard. I've been dying this last section, and it's spiraling, and it's good because it's crumbled all the illusion. It's just crumbled all the fantasy, all the illusions, all the places, all the things, and it is deeply. I want to say there's two sides of this that I feel like are important. There's the side of like, yes, for you that is on the path, all the people that are doing the work, it's all on. We're all getting somewhere. But sometimes what I'm also, the lesson I just got as a worker, really, is that sometimes you can help someone all the way you think, and you can do all the things, and that doesn't mean that they're going to get it this time. And so there's also this kind of like reality check for me as a little star, so to speak, of like, I'm like, get me in there. how about this way? If I tell you this way, then you'll love the light. Okay, I know. If I say it like this, then how about then you'll want to choose love. This kind of energy, and it's actually the thing that's been detrimental for me, probably out in the world many times, is that I was so persistent wanting someone to understand, and I think you'd get it if I just say it another way.
Yeah.
And they're like, God, she's so annoying, or whatever. And it was me just wanting to, bring into this zero, like, we can all have this love. Don't you want to join me in the fun kind of thing? And the kind of the harsh lesson for myself as a little soul is like, oh, well, not everyone actually is really ready to receive all those things on a really deep level, based on our setups, based on our traumas, on all the things we talk about, but really understanding, and it's not just about one person, like what you're saying. It's one story exhibits a million people's story. So as a worker, I've been learning through the last half of my life in so many different facets, so many different storylines, and helping so many different people. I've been learning about the deep dive into the fields of trauma, in the fields of deep trauma, and what degradation and trauma at really societal and internal familial levels, how that affects us as beings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really the thing I'm actually talking about all the time, is dealing with your wounding, your internal little boy, little girl. And so there are some beings that are really ready to grab all those pieces and walk all the way home. Some are grabbing a few. Mm-hmm. Some aren't ready even to grab any. So no matter where anyone is on the path, it's okay. You don't have to be doing the work. Many aren't, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But if you are, it's a hunger in you, a spark in you that says, but yes, I feel it. And I know who I am and what my journey is. And that's ultimately, especially in this time frame we're in, everyone's choosing. We're no longer in a game that's real like fluffy and and like you can be on the fence and just hang out. You're choosing. You're either dropping stuff and saying, I am choosing to go to the higher frequencies. That's where I'd like to exist. Or you're not. And you might be spiraling in deeper, denser frequencies, or dealing with the same loops, or going back into the same loopy pattern and just buying into whatever and whatever. We can kid and trick ourselves a lot about a lot of things. Yeah. So we're really making big choices at this point, and there's not really any middle ground anymore. And so we have to also acknowledge that that's okay, that there's so many beings just choosing, well, that's what you're choosing, and that's fine. Yeah. And it's really great, and we're all having this experience together, and that has no bearing on your ability to choose what you want for yourself. So keep doing your inner work, keep moving into higher grace, let go of anyone that's not serving or in alignment with that work you're doing for yourself. It's in love, because we love everyone right where they are. So allowing and letting go of any person in your life is really, it's just honoring their path. I honor your journey, and I honor my own, because I honor that my journey is not the same as yours. And that maybe we're not supposed to be interacting at this point in time. Correct.
And to honor that rather, and to respect where we each are. If I feel like I want to do the work and I'm continuously willing to go through that, well, isn't that good for me? Like, that doesn't mean that everybody else has to do it. And no. when we talk about this, it's really to inspire people to awaken to what their truth is and to what their path is, and I have total respect for everybody wherever they are. I really do. It's like,
sure, nobody doubts that.
Yeah.
We know. No.
Yeah, I can never say that enough, though. You know me.
But it's more about, EILA, what I'm more bringing it up for is more of, we can get disappointed.
Oh, sure.
As souls. Like, we invest energy into our friends, our people, our partners, into things that we think are something. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is, sometimes they aren't that. and it might necessarily, it's the fantasy really that you're breaking. Because if you start to break that down, and from my own self, I realized, as you mourn any fantasy, you're mourning the potential in your mind. You're mourning the things that you dreamt of about it.
Yeah.
You're often not mourning the things that are in certain formats. You're more mourning what could have been, or what possibility, or what you thought it was, or the container you created.
Yeah.
And as I look back on my journey, I realized, well, just how deeply I created everything I created. Well, that was all me. Well, that was me too. Oh, I was creating all that. And it's just an interesting ride to observe all the very cool things that you create and all the very amazing lessons that I provided myself with. One of my big one was I didn't really get till much later that you could ask for like soft lessons. So I did the warrior's path, like the whole ride has been that, like sorcerers on my back, hard stuff. Give me the hardest person who's going to make me own every ounce of myself. I'm going to have to fight for it. Can you give me that lesson? Yeah. And that's pretty much what I've called in a lot of my life.
Yes.
And thanks and praise, I got through it, and I'm on the other side. And
there may be a new forecast for you in the future.
Well,
right?
I'm going to claim it right now with all y'all.
Yeah.
Is no, that first half of being in the trench is done. I'm really grateful for the education, because it's been a long trench of education. I'm 49. I'm going to be 50 this year. And I feel like the first half of my life has been in the trench in many ways, learning.
Interesting.
And enjoying and breathing and studying, honestly, in very deep places with a lot of people and a lot of levels, and getting a lot of education about where everyone is in all different ways. I'm kind of always felt like I'm everybody my whole life. I felt like I'm you. I totally get you. I can sit with people like in the street, up in the mansion. It doesn't really matter. I feel like I'm everyone. And I mean, you can relate. Yeah. Yeah. And I even in blood, I'm kind of everyone, I'm like Hispanic, Spanish, Filipino, Toltec, Utomi, Apache, I've got like 10% Chinese. I've got a little splice of like 3% of Africa, and like a little, like a couple bit of Italian. So, it's like, and there's even like 2% of there of Irish. So, it's like, I felt like I'm like everyone always. And I'm always a bridger. I'm always bridging different types of people together and bringing them together and kind of dispelling this illusion that we're separate. That they're over there and I'm over here. The fact that we're
different means that we need to stay here and they need to stay there.
Yeah. I'm always kind of bridging that gap. Like, hey, we're all like one, and bringing people together that may not have come together.
Yes, you've done a lot of that.
Yeah.
That I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
A lot of bringing people together in different ways, whether it's, roller skating or drumming or dancing or,
the schools, the shows.
The schools,
It's been really, I've been reflecting because I've had lava roots for 22 years. We've been bringing dance, music, culture, shows, and children's programs to the theater and the schools for all this time. And, it's so cool because a lot of kids just graduated. Yeah. And I know some of those kids. I mean, a lot of these kids have been my students, and it's just amazing to see the impact of these things that we're talking about all the time, right? Left brain connection, moving, get out there and move. Well, I taught all these kids to do that since like kindergarten to 5th grade. Right. They had me every year from K to 5. If you went to school from 2007 to 2020 in North Kohala, you had me as a teacher, right? So that I was seeing them all excelling in whatever they're doing. They're moving on. But those things are planted into your confidence, your self-esteem. It's about right left brain connections. And I just was at the high school and had some really cool connections with some of the kids I've taught. And I'm just so grateful for the experience and so grateful to be part of their journey and to plant a seed and to see them using any of those seeds, to see anybody take what you give them and flourish it, like you just began your beginning story of seeing your daughter take the seeds of what I got a chance to help her do, move through this thing, and she just blossomed and took that and ran. She took that and just became the person she wants to be and is embodying the woman she is. Right. And that's like, wow, that's
a wow.
It's the wow, and that's I love that wow. It's kind of what I love the wow. I live on the hunger and the wow of watching people blossom. I love it. I love it.
Well, it's kind of a privilege to be part of it. We're part of it even when we think we're not part of it, because we're all connected and all of our energies are connected. And even if we don't interact with certain people, it doesn't mean that you don't have an impact on one another, and your energies don't, our energies affect one another. And I think it's really important to own that. It's kind of owning our power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I've debated whether I would tell this story on the air or not. It's a deep story of my own.
Mm-hmm.
And
What do you feel in this moment?
I'm feeling like it's a story about my deeper journey of coming to Hawaii. And it's a story of my peace.
Okay.
And getting a peace from my power of my chakra. And finding, and I talk about this stuff a lot with you, so I thought I would give you a real-time example of my own of retrieving a peace. Mm-hmm. And so there was this piece for me that was around, so the very first night I slept in Kohala in 1998, I dreamt of being sacrificed here. Mm. And so it took me 4 years to be able to walk the heiau polu that I'm thinking of. And then it was many, many years after that many things happened. I was able to walk there, I was able to go there, I prayed there, I would go there a lot to pray. And then many years passed. And my father, I felt, he and I have had our own lessons of learning. He's been a deep source of my own projections and reflections of how I've moved through my life has been based on my father, trying to heal my father's stuff. Mm-hmm. He's been that's been the thing for me. Mm-hmm. Everything else, my mom and I have a really deep loving connection, and was very supported in many ways, but my dad issues, well, that was the bugger, right? Yeah. And so, recognizing what your issues are, what they're coming from, and why. So that's the first step, like we talk about, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd swept through all those things, like I share with you. Go get your pearls, find the pieces. I've been through all my childhood wounding, all these deep places. Okay, so 2020, at that point, he was here, and he had this remembrance of, he was dreaming of the Ili'i. He was dreaming of the
Your
colors.
dad.
My father was having dreams of the Ili'i and of the colors, and the red and the gold, and of the place. And he told me, and I thought, well, you're part of this.
Wow.
And we need to go together to the heiau. So I took him and my mother, and we went to the heiau, and we did prayers. And we cleared the mana, and it was so powerful and beautiful. And my truck almost had broke on the way down there. It was like crazy stuff going on. Okay, so it was like, intense energy. So this real silence came over it. It felt at peace. So we had left. So I've been on some deep dives myself, doing nonprofit work, working across the world, and building a nonprofit, etc. However, at this time, now I'm back here. I'm here at this point, this year, earlier in this year, and I had just led a women's retreat, and I was killing dreams, killing fantasies, doing things, really owning some places in myself, some things that were done. I'd been on mission. Finish the mission. It's time to move forward in so many ways. But I was looking through my father, I'm feeling this peace that feels this yearning. So this is important because the yearning, whatever we're yearning for, is something. There's a something in there. Mm-hmm. What is this yearning for? What is it? Mm-hmm. So I went into a meditation with my inner self, using all the tools that I teach, and then I was at an inner heart fire with my own inner child. And I saw myself, and I saw my father. I'm like, what is it left with my father? I swept everything. I saw him playing a guitar. I saw him playing the flute. And I was like, the music. And then I saw my throat slit, and I looked just like this. And I had like this blue light, like a necklace on my neck. And I saw it move from my neck and get taken through timelines and timelines, like through warlords, and it was like going to different people. And then I saw it like nestled down in a little box underneath the ground. It felt very, very low, and then into like a crate, and then a little tiny box. Now this is dimensionally. I'm traveling dimensionally, just in case you're like, what's she talking about? So
don't try to follow it logically. Just stay with the story.
Yeah, exactly. So I literally pull it out of this box, which looks like a glowing necklace, and portal it through a light station, which is something I do a lot, and go through this place and bring it back in, and it comes back in as the music, and I feel this, I am the music. I feel the peace coming back into my throat, And I remembered the stories of something that happened here that I was a part of, which I won't share that part in this moment. However, I just say that I got that piece back, and a piece that was very huge came forward, and a deeper piece, and I say piece within, around that place and what took place before.
Right.
And so it has been zeroed out, and I have been restored, and the Aupua I live in now is the Aupua I have always lived in since I was called here in 1998. And I feel deeply connected to that. And I feel deeply grateful to be, in my understanding, restored to this place in the form I am now, from forms I have been in many places before. So it has deep resonance as to what a full circle experience for me on a long trench journey. So when I say trench, I feel like I've been looking for this piece from this sacrifice that took place many, many, many moons previously in another dimensional framework that was taken from me. And I have been searching for it. And it's led me on many travels through many different, like the Little Prince, like through dark doorways and all these mountains and goblins and golems. And I have been like dealing with all that for many, many, many years in so many ways. And like dimensionally speaking, and being led to go places where there's need, and often feeling much like a little, like a Frodo. I roll like Frodo, and feeling very much like just like, you have your little leaf and that's all you have, and you just give thanks, and you're making your way through, looking and trying to get our own things, pick up our own pieces, find our own reflections. And I have used a lot of the darkness to reflect myself and find all the pieces. Like I've had to own myself in the face of things, injustices, things that are going wrong around me, that I've had to be like, hey, no, I stand up. I'm always a truth sayer. I'm always like getting in the middle of something, like, no, this isn't right. Like having to own myself by speaking up, doing the thing. And so that's all been about this fifth chakra. And so it all comes back to this full circle. Like as I've lived my truth and kept speaking my truth, I eventually found the piece I was really looking for. And it's a much bigger piece that I had no understanding much earlier of the depth of that piece. I knew pieces of the story, but I didn't understand the whole story until
so
now.
you got the whole picture. In that.
And with it bust like a ton of illusions, like crumble, 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 crumble.
Well, and I think for people listening, understanding that there is so much more to us than our day-to-day living and even this lifetime. And not that everybody is going to go into all of those, but having the knowledge that there's so much more than I got up this morning and I felt this way and I thought these thoughts. It's like, yes, and it's part of a bigger picture. And I know for me, I've always kind of been a bigger picture person, but when this morning I was in one of those narrow places in my mind, and it's like, no, get that bigger picture, like the eagle. The eagle is a image for me. What do you call it?
An eagle eye view. Yes. I know I often say to my clients, like, you're like, oh, these keys right here. We're like, oh my God, the keys are so dirty. Or, you're like concentrated on something going on. And then you're like, but wait, take a step back. They're just on this big table. Oh, we're actually in this huge room. Oh, there's actually all these other things to look at. So we can get so fixated on one small thing, but we go wide. Going wide, because the farther wider we go, but go back galactically, go back to where do we come from, go back to our original seedings, how do we get here, what's really happening, then it really puts things in perspective. And when you're talking about picking up your pieces, like this whole story I just told you, it's one of my stories. It's not the only story. It's just one story in many dimensional frameworks. And as I got that story, like it was so painful and it was such a huge thing that it created a wound that I still, as a soul, have been holding on to because it was so painful. And it's not that anybody actually had it. I mean, I was able to get it once I, in my mind, heart, spirit, had remembered enough in myself to then see it, right? And then claim it, and be present to receive it. So ultimately, we all have access at any point to whatever we need. But because our soul is on this journey of unwinding our trauma and our pain. Many of us, and goes back to what I was saying, like some people aren't ready because you might get to a place of pain that's just too fragile. I can't get past this door. It's too hard. It's too shameful. It's too hurtful. It's
right.
too
Or
dark.
you might not think you have the tools, or you might think you don't have anyone to help you through it.
Well,
I mean,
so actually what I'm talking about will actually can be hard for you to understand because you have so much platform.
mm-hmm.
Honestly, it was really difficult for me to get this because I have so much platform myself. Working.
What do you mean?
And so what I mean is, if let's just say, look, and we'll make up a situation. Let's say, like in the wars, pick any war, wherever there's a war. Let's just see a child who is literally he's seen his parents blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's starving. He's nowhere. He has no safety going on, and no one's nurturing him. He's living on the street. Now let's fast forward. He maybe gets a family at 12 and starts to live with someone and is starting to get some stability. Okay, let's fast forward to 50, 40, 45, whatever age. Even though we can get a lot of places, maybe there's normalcy, we've created patterns, we've created ways of stability. That child, because there was absolutely no framework in the beginning of its early childhood development, there was no framework for love, and there was actually huge trauma, horror put into the framework in a really young age. Without a mother to nurture or give you any safety, without a father to fill any value or worthiness, you now are left with no platform. The house can't be built on this.
Right.
You can't.
No foundation.
There's no foundation.
No solid foundation.
There's no remembrance of love anywhere in the platform within this experience of this incarnation. It doesn't mean the soul cannot love or experience that in another incarnation, but that soul might need to just play out some lessons in this life regarding that, plant some seeds. And so like as practitioners, you might think, well, you're planting seeds to help someone get through this lifetime. Really, the karma and the way, like, the Vedics think of it is very helpful because they help you go wide.
Yes.
You're not just dealing with this life. Like, it's okay that you're not ready to be like that so-and-so over there.
Right.
We're karmatically working through many lifetimes, and we're all in different places. There's no right or wrong place. Many people came to actually help the situation and get people out of places because there was just accidents that took place. We've degraded the DNA through galactic stuff that's happened that is nobody's fault in this moment. It's
and it's not about fault.
It's not. There was no victim. That's all programming. So it's just what it is, and we're basically what all this is us gathering units of consciousness into more consciousness. Things have been fragmented at really deep levels, and there's a lot of different beings here in different DNA templates who are experiencing different aspects of that. Some are in deep reversal patterns within the DNA itself. Some are in upright patterns within the DNA itself. Whatever the situation is, we are all choosing where we resonate to and what's our specific path to, the journey home, so to speak, back into the unity, which we're all in no matter what, so to speak.
We're going to take a station break. That's a good spot to take a breath, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Hang on.
Roots Skate Park, in its 15th year of youth advocacy, will host their annual Go Skate Day on June 23rd. A parade kicks off from Kinnersley Road at 10, ending at Roots Skate Park with food, drinks, live music, an auction, raffle, and skateboarding contest. Oconee Poulet Highway will be closed to motorists from the Kinnersley Road intersection to Roots Skate Park from 10 to 10:30 for the parade. More information at rootsskatepark.org.
Aloha. This is EILA Allgood of Women's Voices. Please join me on Wednesdays between 4 and 6 p.m. on KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. We never quite know what we're going to be hearing because most of my choices are intuitive, unless they come from you, my listening audience, when you call in and make a request. I look forward to playing tunes for you.
Vibrant Hawaii is hosting a Resilience Academy, July 8th through 10th at the Kohala Village Hub. For ages 14 to 24. With a focus on leadership, teamwork, and life-saving skills. For details, contact Oka at vibranthawaii.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. This is EILA Allgood and
Michal, Anna.
On Intuitive Talk Story. And, I want to make an observation. Energetically, there's a lightness about you. Mm-hmm. To say that you're deep is kind of an understatement. So that's always there. But I feel a lightness, a joy with you that I haven't experienced quite the way it is right now and where you're at in your transitional life experience here.
Mahalo. Yeah, I do feel a joy that I haven't experienced. I've been working. I really am just tenacious about that work. And that's one of the things I get to let go of, honestly. I think I had a lot of things in myself that I felt like I can do it. I'm going to do it. I can do it. And I did, and I have, and I got the thing, and I got the this, and I did the thing. But there's so much I reflect to all of you out there that drives us, the fantasy. That's the one thing I wanted to bring up because I had my own fantasies. And the fantasy, when I killed the fantasy, it's really exciting and powerful what killing the fantasy will do for you. Because when you kill the fantasy on your own, it's not broken for you, like, oh, poor me. But
no
when
victim
when you actually kill the fantasy and claim your stuff and go, I'm willing to see what it is, and I allow everything to fall away, and I allow whatever's meant to be present here to stay, like what's in the highest good, and really seeing that which is detrimental and no longer serving, and really has been harmful in many ways. Mm-hmm. So, so I mean, I've been on a journey that I don't want to speak too much about, but other than it's been very deep dive into the trauma, like I spoke of what happens when you're early childhood development and choices we make and agreements that people make with energies. And this is kind of all the stuff I talk about because I've learned about it by experiencing it throughout the world, throughout my experiences. I have been studying that whole aspect of how the underworld and how different things work, because in knowing the darkness, you then own your light. So for me, I think I've used the journey through my world travels and my experiences of, helping and doing things that I've done to know the self. Ultimately, that was my first goal. Know the self and be of service. Know myself while being of service and helping others. Get out of your head, help others, give thanks and praise, humble yourself. Kind of always followed that. Just humble yourself. Let go, humble yourself. As a massage therapist since 1999 here in Hawaii, I did a lot of years of just go humble yourself. And, then taking it further, practice, that's a practice. Meditating, all these things we talk about. Meditating. I've been meditating like that, forever in my day. My job was to meditate and get good at that, and get good at going in the field and being of service. And I would practice, 8 hours a day since I was 24. And, so this journey has taken me through so many places to observe and be of service and see all these different places of life and how different people live and how they experience it and why. and in love, in unconditional love, to go, I love you all, because I truly feel that. I love you all, and I want to be of service. But what's really happening here? And in order to know what's really happening, we often have to dive pretty deep, or else we can't really see it. So I'm kind of a deep diver. I like to deep dive, and I did some deep diving, and I found out a lot of stuff. And it's things that it's back to this trauma, like, as the things I'm teaching and sharing are from all of the travels, dives, and things I've learned through experience, through helping others, through going into the field and retrieving soul pieces for people, helping them to reclaim their sovereignty, reclaim themselves. That is like a huge education with my own self and my own guides, which back to that kind of who we're much bigger, and EILA was talking about that. We're much bigger than just these bodies, thinking of things going wide. I told you a story about one of my dimensional frameworks, one of my, that I'm picking up, so that fragment can zero out. I can be embodied with that energy here now. That's what that is. See? And then we're, even like my guides themselves, we of course are connected to God, Christ, Source, the infinite light, however you want to say that, the Christic light. Many people will frame that into religion. I respect and honor where all people come from, but I feel that all the religions together create the golden thread. You could pull a truth from each one, but each on their own, they're just missing a little piece of the story, so it gets a little distorted. So,
Oh, we could talk about that all day.
Yeah, we could.
But it's really about finding your truth, and for some people, I feel they need that religion, that construct that they grew up with, or that they adopted at a later point in time, as some kind of a framework. Because it's not necessarily easy when you leave that and discover your own framework. It's whatever works for you, and I feel like we both try to use language that is inclusive, so that if somebody has an extreme religious viewpoint, that they feel that they can be part of our conversation.
Absolutely, because I feel that you are, because
Yes.
my viewpoint isn't excluding any of those things. The way I see it is, I actually came in, I was born into a Christian preacher. I'm a daughter of a preacher. I grew up Christian, and I've been speaking in tongues since I was 10. I grew up in all those things, studying the Bible. I've studied the Bible, I've studied the Quran. I've studied a lot of books.
Me
I
too.
did a lot of that in my before I came to Hawaii, I did all of that. By the time I got to be 24, I literally put all the books away, and then I just gave thanks and praise, and I let Pele and the ocean and all these beautiful aunties and uncles in my community teach me by serving the children, by serving the keiki, by putting my hands in the soil, by, just surfing and getting pearled and, falling on my face, all the things. So
Yeah.
I for like 20 some years, 21 years, I did that. And I just worked and was looking for myself, finding my pieces, trying to get the stuff, and, go through my own wounding, which I had plenty of. A lot of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, a lot of intensity. Sorry again to everybody out there. I've told you before. But yeah, so we're all kind of on that journey of picking up all these places where we didn't think we had the ability to be embodied in ourselves. And here at this time, the grand opportunity that we're all being given is to understand that we're so much more than what you thought.
Yeah.
All of us are so much more. You have all these different pieces, all these different aspects, all of that. And even your own guides are you in different frameworks. You're huge. You don't fit in this body. God is bigger than what you thought, like the energy of what is God? You're like, it's bigger than you thought. There's just a lot of levels. So you can think of it that way. Like, are you being blasphemous about God? No, God's just bigger than you thought. God's huge. It's like huge, 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 huge. We're all inside God. Like the whole thing is God. Everything is unity. It's all God. It's all God, like having a dream of itself. And even if someone's in a reversal, ultimately, any person that's why there's no real bad or good. And if we're still operating from a framework of bad or good, we are still staying in a dualistic framework, which keeps us wrapped up in hierarchy, which doesn't allow us to move to a higher framework and come into this field of joy and unity. Go wide, we go, oh, it doesn't have to be this or that. Because ultimately, I mean, that guy that chooses the ultimate separation and is hurting himself and hurting things will eventually become space dust, but he'll eventually go back to God. He's still part of God. He'll just become dust and zero consciousness, and the consciousness will go back to God, and God will dream a new dream. Right. Or you can go back to God as consciousness in bringing, like conscious energy back home to source, and, riding the consciousness ladder of revealing more conscious, because we are vibration. We are consciousness. We are God itself. And we, like this avatar that I'm in is God's temple to just inhabit in the form of the avatar of the soul expression that I am in this moment now.
And to have all the experiences that you're having, so that because you can't have them anywhere else except here, so you're having your experiences that help you evolve as a soul, and that helps me evolve. We all help each other because we're all connected, and there is nobody out there anyway, right?
Right, but if you live that way, then we do vibrate in accordance. If I live in my truth, then I become an example that for you to live in your truth, and it's giving permission too. It's like going on the dance floor, being the first person out there, right? You're like, oh, then everybody really wanted to get up and dance, but now that you went, and I always love being that person, like going and giving permission to like, get on out here.
You know what? I think that was one of the reasons I married my husband. Was he was like one of the only guys I knew back, I was 19, 20 years old. He'd want to go out. Like, I wanted to get on the dance floor as soon as the music came on, and, everyone else would be sitting back, and he'd be like, oh yeah, well, let's go. And, so I think that's really important to look at the metaphors of things. Are you willing to go and be the first one out there? Do you care? It's not even, the intention wasn't to, when you go out and dance, it's not, oh, look at me, I'm the first one out. It's just, I want to do this and I'm not waiting for anybody else.
Okay, so here you bring up a really cool thing. I've been having this conversation a lot with clients and friends, and it's that this is exactly like, it's kind of, I'm going to bring it to the crux of the issue. The whole problem is really that people are leaping from a platform of duality instead of leaping from a platform of unity. If you're thinking you're just explaining it like, well, I'm thinking this way, not this way, because you have to because most people leap from hierarchy first. Yeah. So you feel like you have to say, no, it's not coming from that place, it's coming from this, right. Which I also have had to do many times. But the truth is, are we leaping from unity first? Or am I going that EILA's telling me this because she cares about me right now, not because she thinks she's better than me? Mm-hmm. She's telling me because she cares, because I'm loved and supported and we're one and we're on the same team. If that's the truth, then I'm going to receive whatever she tells me. Hey, do you want that closer to you? Oh, you don't think, I'm not going to receive it like, oh, you don't think I know something, EILA? Because I'm not going to receive it from that place if I'm leaping from unity. Yeah. I'm going to receive it from, oh, this person cares about me and loves me and is offering me help from a supportive viewpoint. I'm not going to take it as a slight or an attack, because I'm not operating in a platform of
that's
hierarchy.
Not where your consciousness is.
Right, but this is really important, because this is the inversion. Mm-hmm. So the inversion is that you leap from duality in your response, which is leaping from an unsupported feminine energy. Mm-hmm. When there's an unsupported, no mother, we have to all surrender to the mother. Mm-hmm. That mother energy is life, the tree outside, infinite life force. We've talked about this before, but this is just to expand it in your mind, because it inverts when we don't. When we don't surrender to it, we literally start to pull double electrical spins in our framework, or
you
double magnetic. Okay, that gets into the physics of ourselves. Yeah. Okay, let me go back. Bottom line, in order to come from a unified, upright, Pono platform, we need to release inversions that actually play out on a chemical and physical and psychological and physiological level. These inversions are in frameworks, how you think, how you respond, how you do everything. So we're flipping the entire thing upright so that you literally walk from a platform of support. The only way we can do that externally is if we're internally already operating in a platform of support. So I can only do that if my internal feminine and my internal masculine, my left brain, my right brain, all the things, that this and that, yin and yang, all that's in coherent balance in sacred marriage. This sacred marriage internally creates, what does that create? A unified field. So now that's where we rise up into the tri-wave, the Trinity. That's why there's a Trinity, because it's a 3-wave system, not a bi-wave system. So we're in this Trinity system, in an upright system where we're rising upward, and our actual mechanics within us we're magnetic in our feminine, and we're electrical in our masculine. So those need to both be spinning in a calibrated format, an internal magnetic and an external electrical. So these two parts work in a harmonious union. Imagine both are just upright in the way they're supposed to function, and they come together and function correctly. So our mother, our feminine, has to be supported. It's how we feel loved. So it's like, I'm loved and I'm supported. So if I didn't have a lot of support from my mom, or I've not had a lot of feminine nurturing in my life, that's going to be something I'm really going to want to work on and get myself more nurturing. I really love, and I talk a lot about surrendering to the Holy Mother and imagining yourself held. I love the Moana image, Tifati, that, I'm saying her name wrong, but there's the whole Moana, the island, her heart was stolen, which is why she was angry. Give her back her heart.
We're in a movie right now.
Yes, we are. Sorry.
Okay.
And she's beautiful. It's the island. If you haven't seen Moana, it's beautiful. Imagine flowers and plumeria and smelling fragrant, and this deliciously being held by the mother energy that just loves you.
Yeah. So let's give a little example of this, because that's a lot of abstracts for my brain to handle. So if one is like a little off balance with that mother side, and somebody comes in and says, "Oh, EILA, that shirt doesn't really look good on you," or that your hair doesn't look really nice today, or so there's it looks like criticism, but maybe it's meant to be.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to take another step forward. So part of that is just our general wounding. Our wounding is what then keeps us off balance and able to really harmonize those. So we have to be willing to let go of our negative ego, which is going through ourselves and becoming honest. That's like step one is calling out the elephant in the room. First, I have to be willing to call out my stuff. If I'm not willing to do that, I can't get anywhere. So we have to do that first. But if a person, I'm just going to put it in a physical format. It's actually internal, but we can imagine it like an external thing. So if a little boy is raised by a mom who beats him and hurts him every day, and he feels completely unsafe, he's going to navigate that masculine energy when he gets older. He's going to be a tyrant, or he's going to be emasculated, right? And he's not going to be in balance, and he's not going to navigate his masculinity with grace and ease because he had no nurture support. He's in an inverted state. He's in an he's in the inverted patriarchal state due to that wounding of not having any love. Right. He'll operate in that way. Now, in an inverted feminine state, you could say a woman with, when we don't have the proper masculine energies, we go to the Baphomet or the demasculinator. We can go, in those ways too. Honestly, I've been in those inversions in different ways myself throughout my journey of 50 years. So so now that's what we've been doing, is to set up right. We've all been inverted, because with these inversions, back to going wide, it's not like, what did you do wrong, or you're bad and you're good, now we're judging again. Drop the judgment. We're all here together. We've all been doing this 200,000 years ago. I mean, these things are inserted. These are things like a wider, longer history that most people don't really know the stories about, and gets into kind of stuff I won't get into here. But it literally, we're in a bigger story than we've been really understanding or told. So there's much more to understand, and I encourage anyone to, seek out the stories, seek out the things that give us a greater depth, and just don't buy anything from anyone that you hear or see. But do deeper research, deep dive into yourself, into the information. But when enough people are saying something, there must be something to it, or there's something I need to check out, right? Or understand, or what's the energy behind this, or why do so many people believe this thing, or what's going on here? I have an investigative spirit, so I like to get to the bottom of things. I like to find out what's going on. Not everybody does. You and I do.
Yeah.
But not, and which is why we like to do this.
Well,
but,
and I like to be open to understanding what someone else, not just someone else might be dealing with, but what they are here for on a grander scale. It's not just about this little behavior or personality. They're here to do something. What is that? Yes. Because just making them wrong because they're misbehaving and we don't like them and they're mean, and it's not gonna heal anything. It's not gonna make anything progress. If I can understand that, that's part of this big plan or this big picture, that they're there to throw a monkey wrench to wake us all up. Oh, okay. All right. So it's not about that person. They're just part of a big picture. And just like I am and you are.
Right. And sometimes you don't have, we have impact someone a lot. Sometimes we impact them very little. Sometimes it's not what you think it's supposed to be. Like you did your job and then you're done. It's kind of, so again, for me on the road of life, I always like to say unattached and amused. Yeah. And it's been a motto forever because I've experienced it that way, that everything is a story and we're weaving through stories and chapters and dreams and experiences that are weaving us into a greater understanding of who we really are and what we're really doing here. Like you said, really finding your purpose, understanding your call, which is what I've been deeply dedicated to since I was little. Like I've been following it all, like the beat of my own drum the whole time. Yeah. And most people don't understand what I'm doing or thinking because I'm just, probably everyone's most out there friend. But yeah, it's been incredibly amazing. Like it's a magical ride. Like I experience life as a magical ride. And this last section has been amazing. The Little Prince journey is Siddhartha journey. It's kind of, I'm just so grateful to have the support and love of my community. And my, I've lived, being here 26 years in Kohala, a lot of people have witnessed my life here, and I've had the real honor to have been born witness with people and have seen me grow up in many ways and watched me, become who I am now. And I'm really grateful for that. I came from a city, from Denver, growing up, and left at 17, but so I didn't come from that, in this incarnation. Yeah. I come from it in lots of others, but in this one, not. So I'm so grateful for the experience of my community all the time and the things I learn and how so many things I've learned in the past. And, this is the thing you keep experiencing, right? Out there, one phrase or one thing you've learned, it just keeps deepening. Like you keep deepening a certain phrase, know thyself. Even that phrase is deepened so many times through the journey, love is still the answer. What all these different things we say can have so many meanings. Unity, it's all one. People say that a lot. One love, it's all one. But are you living it? Are you living that unity? Are you experiencing it? Are you breathing it? It's easy to say words. It's harder to actually embody them. And that's the journey, right? Living in your authentic self. And I'm all about calling out the elephants in the room and speaking the truth, and that's not comfortable for most people. So I've often had a hard time.
Well, I think anytime we find ourselves thinking about somebody else as the villain or the bad person, or then we're, one of the things I've looked at in my life when I've been through hard times is I really did believe that we're all one. Then whatever this person is doing is part of me. So
totally.
Why make them into the villain? They're expressing, and you can look at this in the political arena. If you don't like the way someone's behaving out there, well, do your work, because it's all part of reflection. And to me, just making making somebody a horrible whatever is like, that's the easy way out.
Yes, and I will also say, because I've worked in the realms of domestic abuse, I've helped people in those areas. So I'm going to be like an EILA right now.
Oh, all right.
I'm going to say, yeah, but if you're in a situation where you're getting yelled at all the time, or
Absolutely.
it's an angry person, you want to ask yourself, yeah, what am I so angry about? I mean, I've had to do that myself. But you want to ask yourself that, what am I so angry about, or what is the thing? Even get to the bottom of it, but then you don't have to stay.
You might need to get out of the situation.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't mean that you need to have, no matter who you are, you need to have personal space and sacred space for yourself. We can love everyone, but you can also love people from afar. You can be unconditionally loving, and they can not be in your personal space.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. And as somebody who also grew up in a city and lives out here, and I just went back to that environment, it's a very different energy on the mainland, planes and trains and everything. And coming off the plane in Kona is just always like magic. Feeling, it's the air, but it's the energy of the island, and it's even before you get here. And I feel like one of the reasons it takes so long to get here is because we need that time to transition into the energy here from the energy wherever else, whatever other body of land we're visiting.
Well, you're the farthest place from anywhere. and that, energetically speaking, is always a big deal, because there's not all the computers, our wires, there's a lot of frequencies, and that's really back to where vibration and frequencies, it's all frequency, sound. So play with your sound, play with your voice, think and sing and ha and open your heart. Ah is like, everyone, if you don't know anything about anything, just ah all day. Ah, and imagine your heart opening. Expand your sha bubble around you, and sha, expand that light, expand anything, and shine the light on any place where, it needs to be seen. Let yourself speak the truth to yourself. In this moment where we are on this like very intense ride, this year has been so amazing, and so many shifts. I'm not the only one having shifts. I know a lot of you out there are having shifts. People are making choices, really amazing things happening. Doors are opening. Things are becoming very incredible in a lot of ways, because we really get to co-create the new tomorrow together. And we do that by really cleaning house, by really getting clear about what we want to offer, and by being a really embodied whole person who can sit at that round table and create the new tomorrow. And, in my experience, it's like, get in there and have tea with your demons, and don't be afraid to face anything, so that you can know your wholeness and know thyself.
And on that, we're getting near the end of our show today. I want to thank you for all of your sharing today and your stories. And I felt like we went someplace I could not have imagined. And I hope the people out there can take it in and learn and grow and reflect back whatever you want to us. We're happy to hear any kind of feedback at any time.
Yes, we'd love to hear your feedback, or if you want us to talk about something. And I want to thank everyone for being on part of my journey. And EILA, I want to thank you for being on with my journey. I'm kind of like a on mission kind of girl. That's kind of how I roll. I've always felt like I had a plug in my head, the Matrix stories.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always came back home, like, people are like my friends and sisters, like, oh, would you like some tea? I'm like, oh, I'd really love some tea. I've been like out there in the mission with the plug in my head, like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
So it's felt like that for me a long time in my journey, and I really feel grateful that I really feel like I'm home. Like, I don't have to go on a big mission for a while, and I just get to kind of go myself, and that feels really supportive and beautiful. It's been a lot in my whole journey, but so much. Like, I'm writing things right now. I look forward to sharing many things with all of you.
Good.
Actually, a lot is coming forward, lots of new creations, and it's a bulk of education is what we all get receiving, and then deciding how we get to really bring it forth.
When you texted me today about the show, I was ready to write back this whole thing about how I was not up for it today. And I was like, you know what, you don't need to do that. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other. You're going to get there, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So thank you for showing up.
You're welcome.
And sharing, and thank you everybody out there for listening and supporting the radio station and our beautiful little show.
Yes, much
Yes.
love to everyone out there. Love eternal. Aloha.
Aloha.